This is my Max Power Corsa project, and we've now moved on to building the audio system. So now we're on to part 2. In part 1 I built the false floor, and in this video I'm going to be building the framework for the enclosure so I can start fiberglassing. Using the trick I used the last time around, I cut a panel which I'm going to use for the bottom of the enclosure. One of the jobs I didn't do the last time around was to remove all the rear trim, so I'm taking the trim, the seat belts and that rear door card off. I'm going to be using MDF where I can because it's a lot cheaper than fiberglass, so I need to make a panel for the side of the car. I'm taking some measurements so I can roughly sketch out where that wheel arch is going to be so I can get it cut out. There's a few different ways we can go about doing this, but what I'm going to do is mask up all of the panels. I'm then going to use expanding foam to fill all the gaps. Once the foam is cured, I'm then going to cut it all back to a manageable level, and then I can fiberglass over the top of it to help give me the structure. That's why I decided to start building this in the black car, and I'm going to move it over once it's done. As you can see, expanding foam is really messy, and I didn't want to dirty up the show car and give myself extra work in cleaning it up afterwards. Moving on to the structure of the framework now. Some of this might not make sense at the minute because obviously the vision is all in my head. I haven't put it down on paper at all. But the idea is that the structure I'm building is going to be in 2 pieces. I'm going to have the sub-enclosure at the back, which is going to be 1 piece, and then I'm going to have an infill panel at the front, which I can remove separately if I need to get access to the lights. So these little panels that I'm bonding in place are going to be the end points and the separation panels between the sub-enclosure at the back and the infill panel at the front. As you can see with the expanding foam, it goes right up to the edge of the car and fills the gap perfectly. Expanding foam also helps everything fit really snug and acts as a bit of a vibration softener and a sound deadener as well. So again, this is all a vision in my head at the minute, but I'm cutting the base out now to the shape that I want the enclosures to be. So because this is going to be the sub-enclosure, I need everything airtight and super strong, so I'm going to stick some extra screws in there just to keep it sturdy. So the bit that I've just cut off there is going to be the base of the infill panel. Hopefully some of this is starting to make sense now and you can see the shape coming on a little bit. Last little bit to finish off the framework now. I've got this 3mm MDF which I can use to contour around the base. By itself, this is going to be too weak and flimsy to use for any sort of enclosure, so I'm going to fiberglass the inside of it to add the strength back in. So for now, I'm done with the subwoofer enclosure and it's time to make this little infill panel on the front. You can see the piece that I cut out earlier, which I'm using for the base of the infill panel. And I've got that duplicate of the end panel, so I know the shape's going to be consistent. Again, it might be a bit confusing to follow at the minute, but I'm using bits of MDF to try and build up a structure so that I can get the frame in place for this. I'm going to be doing some more masking and some expanding foam to help bridge the gap and make my life a little bit easier. Once the foam's all cured, I can trim it all back to the shape that I need it. And now we're getting on to the fun and messy stuff. Building the frame for this infill panel is going to be quite awkward, so I'm using fiberglass matting to help bridge the gap and help contour the shape to the vehicle. Thanks to the time limit on Reels, I've had to cut this video short, but if you want to see the rest of this project, then check out my profile for the other videos.